started, most certainly. Yeah, I get it started. Just ride the play. If you ride the play, Johnny ride the.
What is going on? It is Solo E and I am back with another video. Now in this video I am actually going to give you a strategy, but this strategy is just going to be focused on market structure disruption, market structure manipulation, anything when it comes to market structure. Now when I talk about market structure, this goes into supply, demand, order blocks, key levels, support, resistance, institutional levers, anything that applies with structure. This is one basic way of learning how to master all of those. So make sure you subscribe, guys. Make sure you subscribe to this, because in this channel I break down and give you guys as much gems as I can without missing anything. Now if you guys aren't plugged in with the broker, make sure you are plugged in with the broker. I use Offspring FX, and if you guys need a funded account, you can go ahead and sign up down below by using Thor FX as well. So we're going to go ahead and get straight to it. Let me show you guys what we will be doing and why learning the basic of market structure is so important. So let's talk about some basic terminology on understanding market structure. How you see it here is how to read different time frames. You must understand the difference between major structure and minor structure. Without this knowledge of knowing how to read the difference between the two, it will almost become very difficult when you decide to actually put everything together. Now, one thing I really want you guys to understand with structure is this. Always look at it like this. Major structure is going to be your big brother, and minor structure is going to be the little sister. However, minor structure can guide major structure. All right, so what we're looking at is the 1 hour time frame. So now we need to establish major structure. So what is major structure? Major structure is anything above the time frame that you are marking up the charts. Minor structure is anything below the time frames that you are marking up the charts or looking at the charts, vice versa. So that being said, we're actually just going to go ahead and start looking for the major moves. So now our major move is we need to spot what structure is. Structure is an area that creates what we call either supply, demand, support, resistance, institutional levels, and all of that stuff. But before you understand it that way, what you need to know is the very basics of structure. Structure is just anything that can have a base point that can identify something. That's really all it is, and that's where all of the other things come in play, like all the other strategies that you guys are familiar with. So what we're going to do is find the structure. So that being said, we need to find the base. The base of everything is usually where you get a lot of wick rejections, where you start seeing it hit that same area multiple times, and then or where you either see price will rally the other way. That's what we call it, the base. That's the structure, and that's where all of these other strategies come in play. So we're going to go ahead and mark this area here, because this, as we see, we know for sure that this is a downtrend. We notice the market is obviously creating more momentum to the downside. We see more obviously red candles, so that tells us this is a bearish market now. So what we're going to do is name this our lower high, because this is lower from this previous high up here. Now also we have a lower low, because this is the lowest point as of now, and then also we have a new lower low because it's lower from this previous low, and then we have our lower high because it's lower from this previous high. And then now we have a new potential lower low forming. All we're gonna do is, once again, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, watch those videos, because I use the Fibonacci to kind of determine the potential new structural level, which would be here. So I'm already projecting the market to come around here to create the new lower low, so I would know for sure what's going on. So now, before I actually do that, let me mark my other lower high, which is actually here. So this is all we're gonna do. We're going to sit on this 1 hour, and we're going to see if we can have a base in my potential area. Now, as you see, market is still shooting down. Just because market is still shooting down, that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, I'm gonna keep selling, I'm gonna keep selling. What you guys got to be aware of is once market breaks structure, it has to pull back to confirm that this is actually the baseline. And if it is, that's when we're going to sell. Because one thing we don't want to do is get in these sales. Like I had somebody comment, and shout out to you commenting on my video. You said, how can we spot fake breakouts? This is one way to spot it. You wait on it to actually come back in that same area, and then you catch that roller coaster. Otherwise, don't get in the trade, because if you guys are constantly trading just the breakouts, like I said, everybody got their own way of trading. I prefer to wait, because that tells me two things. I would know for sure where the market is actually going to go. So what we're going to do is now mark this area as our previous low, and now we're going to mark this as our new low. All right, so then now what we need to then do is start looking into the little sister, meaning minor structure. In order for us to have a completed move on major structure, minor structure is where it's going to kick in. So this is now where we jump in on a spot. We're going to jump on a 15-minute, and we're going to start looking in the minor structure areas. What that basically means is we're in major move right now, but we're looking at the details, like as we are becoming to get in as a scalper. So now that I had this as my 4-hour low, I am now going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to mark this area as our high. And I'm going to just say high because this is the most recent high. Now, if we break out of this, guys, if we break out of this, I am projecting market to continue up to create the pullback. Now, let me go back on a 1 hour, because on a 1 hour, one thing we got to establish is, well, how far could this pullback go? As long as we know where the structural levels are at, we're fine. So I see here is a structural level, and also all of this is a structural level. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this box, we're going to put it here. Every time you guys see a structural level, you put it there. Now, this is where the other strategies come in play. This is where supply demand comes in play. This is more like a supply area as we speak now. So if you look at it that way, that is now your supply area. But if you didn't look at it that way and we focus on the basics, we don't know anything about supply demand. We don't know anything about order block, because this is also an order block. Just because what this happened is we have move coming to the upside, and then we just got a red candle to close. If you get a candle going one direction and out of nowhere you just get another candle to go the opposite way, that means that this is now an order block. So now we also got an order block. So if you, for anybody that trades order block, this is your order block area here. Also, you got an order block area here. Also, this is a supply level here as well, and this is our supply level too. But let's say you didn't know nothing about order blocks or supply demand. This is why it's so important for you guys to stop going through all of these strategies when you already know the basics, because you're going to now deviate yourself from the basics and think that supply demand is the basics of structure, and it's not. What structure is structure. So here we got the lower high. I don't know nothing about order blocks or supply demand, but I know everything about my lower high. So let's say that now we got support and resistance. Well, basically, let me sum this down. What support is, it has to hit the same area twice in order for it to become support. As you see here, it hit that same area twice. Now we got resistance. It basically hit that same area twice. So now we got support and resistance. Perfect. We also don't have really any support yet until actually this had happened, where now it became support and resistance. Okay, perfect. So now you guys see we got all of that applied. Now if we add institutional levels, that's another thing. Major key levels is basically where you notice price hit that same area multiple times as resistance, as support, as supply demand, in higher time frames essentially. So we kind of got all of that here. If we were to zoom out, you guys would see that. I'll move this out, it would be that area. So this is a structural level in general, known as a lower high and a lower low, and all of these other rules apply. So all we're going to do is go back on the 15-minute, and we're going to see if market can break out of this high, which is here. Now once again, we got another set of structure. This is now support or resistance. Now resistance to hit this area again. Essentially, it's not really a supply level yet until we see a big rally to the downside. So maybe if you want a smaller scale, you can look at this as your supply. Also, this is an order block area. Guys, watch that other video drop about order blocks, because that's another way for you guys to start looking for these order blocks, which is essentially the supply demand in a way. But guys, like I said, it all goes into structure, and this is why I'm giving you these fire gems on this video, because once you master the basics, you got it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you're not, go to Solo TV, subscribe to this channel, because I give you guys everything you need to know. We're just going to wait to see what happens. Now, if it obviously breaks down to the lower low and continues to go down, that's completely fine. One thing that I did not do in this video is that I did not go on a higher scale like the daily to look for the daily structure. What I always recommend is you start on every time frame, like a higher weekly, monthly, to look for these levels, because if there was some type of daily structure here, I would be a little bit more biased to the upside than a downside. But what we're going to do is just stick to the 15-minute, and let's see what we get. So all I'm simply doing is waiting on structure to break. All right, now here's another rule on how you guys can master both directions. If you want to get in, and let's say you found these structural levels on a 15-minute, I always say just go on a smaller scale to look for the minor move off the 15-minute, which will be the 5-minute. We know on a 5-minute, this is actually going to be our lower high, or basically our low. Let's just say our low. This is our low. If we can break out of this low and then we got to confirm it, you can trade the breakout, yes, or you can wait on a pullback and then try to get another confirmation candle of sellers are in the market and then sell it. So there's a couple ways to go around it. You just really want to find a way that works best for you. So even like with this candle right here, you could potentially sell this. Even though I'm on a 15-minute, you can look for this on a 5-minute and sell it. But just to show you guys, if you were to sell it, you could have definitely sell it because of that, and maybe sold it to these lows here, or even route the trade further down. Now we got the direction shift. So now since we got the direction shift, I want to now see a new structural level form. When we get a new structural level forming, it's going to be something else, maybe like supply demand, support resistance, major key level, or institutional level, right? But we want to see that first. So what we want to see is price shoot down, exactly what it's doing now, and then we want to see, since it did create a new high. Now also, if you guys are into supply demand order blocks, this is another order block. So this would have been even the previous, if we was in a 15-minute, this would have been our 15-minute high, also lower high technically, but our high, also this is an order block, and also this could be considered a supply level, essentially supply level. So you could have definitely sold somewhere here if you wanted to. Either way it goes, we are following just basic structure. So we're going to remove that for a second, and we're just going to focus on structure. So now I am seeing the buyers are in the market, and I potentially now see that we are reacting off this higher low. So what I am going to do is place a buy right around this area. Let's see, let's do a long position here. Stop loss, I'm actually going to put a couple pips from this low, and we're just going to ride this trade somewhere around here. We're just going to simply ride this jump. Now, as you guys see, we riding this trade up and hopefully trying to get it to come around in this area of supply, demand, support, resistance, previous highs, higher highs, all of that stuff, right? Now, as you guys see, it didn't fully close out on my whole entire order. Now, is that a bad thing? No, that's not a bad thing. Like I said, at the end of the day, market will always react off of previous support, or it will react off of any structural level. Now, if you guys look here, basically, what I state in this is that the 1 and the 4 hour time frame correlates, right? However, the 4 hour, which is our major structure, is going to be the big brother. Now, with that being said, if we go down on the 1 minute time or 1 hour time frame, you will see this is the exact same thing. The 4 hour lower high, which is this right here. I'm sorry, it's this one right here. And then we got the 1 hour higher high, and then we got some 1 hour higher lows. Now, if we pay close attention to this concept, you guys can see how on the 1 hour, we had a 1 hour high that we couldn't really see so much on the 4 hour. But on the 1 hour, we noticed that it broke out of the 1 hour high, which means that now we can be heading up, which only applies in minor structure. Just because it broke minor structure don't essentially mean that it's going to be a full uptrend. We still got to apply the 4 hour move, which is here. So this is why I stated here, 1 hour higher high reacts off the 4 hour lower high. This can cause market disruption, which can further drop due to minor structure reacting off a major structure. So for another example, if I'm saying that this is my 4 hour lower high, also you see, if we look right over in this section, you see right here, this is supply area now. This is also a support level, resistance level. This is also essentially a major key level. It's all types of things. So regardless, we were already being set for this move for possibly a sell. But we already knew that something was going to happen here because this was the previous structural level. So that being said, guys, you really want to make sure you fully understand the basics of structure, because once you understand that, everything else can make sense. Like for me personally, guys, I'm gonna be real with you. I never talked about supply demand until probably 2 months ago, because everybody's now talking about it, and I guess it's the new wave, smart money concept, and it's kind of like, you know what, let me just dig into it and see what it's about. As I dug into it, it's just like, oh, nothing changes. It's the same structural stuff. When I realized about support and resistance, I realized it's the same basics of structure, major key level, basic institute, basics of structure. So really master the basics of structure first before you master just one specific strategy, because that is going to deviate you from understanding how to really actually focus on what's important, which is the basics. So that being said, guys, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and then of course, if you guys want to go ahead and get started with a funded account, like I said, it will be Thor FX. You can start with the 10K all the way up to 200K account. Doesn't matter. Use my code SOLO20, all lowercase, SOLO20. You can get 20% off. And like I said, guys, I appreciate the love and support. Yo, boy Solo. Everybody, peace and take care.